What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we are here doing our best to be the bridge between our fellow real estate investors, entrepreneurs alike, and the cryptocurrency world because crypto is the biggest opportunity over the next couple of years or so. And it's not even close. So, welcome along on the journey. We're pumped to have you guys here. Corey, take it away.
Absolutely, Corey Geary here, and I'm just truly blessed to be on this journey with all you guys. Where we're going to use cryptocurrencies, that wealth creation tool, and use real estate as a wealth preservation tool. And like you said, Dane, the opportunity in crypto, there is no other opportunity that will come close to where we're at in the market cycle. You can still get in and get great price appreciation from these levels. We're seeing massive pullbacks in a lot of different ecosystems like Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure we saw a local top. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have a crystal ball, but it seems like we're really cooling down. Ethereum's starting to cool down. A lot of the other ecosystems are. So if you were interested in getting in, this is the time. This might be the last stop before the rocket ship takes off. No crystal ball again, no financial advice. Go buy bonds and stocks. But if it were me, this might be a place to start doing some new DCAs. And it don't even have to be in the Pulse Chain ecosystem. It can be in wherever you had your eyes on. If you see that pullback, that is your time to get in. Don't get flooded out of the game. Go buy the assets you love as they're pulling back and change the trajectory of you and your family's life, because that's what we're on a mission to do, is change the trajectory right now. We're watching that tidal wave as we're laying on the surfboards out in the ocean. That tidal wave is coming in and it's coming closer, and we get to be first in the market cycle because we're here for it. We're in the game every single day.
Absolutely. Corey and I were at the beach this, that's a great, what's up, Island Boys? To this point, Corey and I were at the beach yesterday hanging out. And in fact, we were talking about some specific strategies. And if you were Richard, what would you do? And I think that's a really interesting conversation piece for today's show. So let's jump into that, Corey. I'll kind of like lay the foundation of kind of where we're at and some of the things we've seen, and then why don't I'll hand it over to you to give some ideas of what you would do if you're Richard, and I'll throw in some ideas as well. So where we're at right now, Richard created Hex, which everyone here is probably familiar with. If you're not, it's just a cryptocurrency that Richard Hart created a few years ago during the last bull run. He said it was built to do a 10,000x in price appreciation, which sounded absurd to most people. and then it did that. It did that in about a year and a half, which is pretty wild. And so as such, Richard has gained a lot of acclaim and similarly pushback from various people and pundits. And then he built Pulse Chain, and everyone that sacrificed for Pulse Chain and PulseX, we all felt, I say we because this includes me, thought that we would be wealthy very quickly out of the gates. And for those that sacrificed, unless you were a huge wallet, it just hasn't been instant gratification like many anticipated. And so you see the infighting now. You see the market dips. Market dips like it does at times. And so that's the current stage that we sit on. You'll see the sacrifice wallets come in and buy charts up, and then you'll see big wallets sell into those and push price back down. And so there's a lot of interesting factors there. And like I said, Corey and I were talking about it this weekend. So Corey, if you were Richard Hart, with that being the stage, what would you do right now?
They're probably not going to like my answer on this. At least most guys won't like it. For one, I want to give a shout out to Brizology, even though he's the Ink Token Maxi, and usually the top call of our show. He isn't today, remarkably. He had posted on Twitter a comment talking about, hey, everyone is pointing at the Hexican infighting and saying this is the reason why the charts are going down. And he simply pointed out, like, no, guys, this is actually part of just where we're at in the cycle. We've been running really hard, and now it's time for a pullback. Bitcoin's pulling back, Ethereum's pulling back, and we're just pulling back with the rest of the market. And then that Hexican infighting was just kind of like what everyone's going to point at and talk about because of the red candles. And so I give him a shout out for that, because it really kind of, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. It's just part of the cycle of what we're going through. And so, like, if you really believe in our assets, well, what you should be doing is DCAing and not fighting with your fellow friends on, on Twitter to calling each other out and just being stupid and toxic. I mean, Twitter, guys, if you can, in times like this, Dane always says it, turn the damn thing off and go outside, play with your family, go to the beach if you have one, or just go to the park and just hang out and get off. Or go, here's one of my favorite things to do: go create value in the real world and bring new money in outside of crypto. And so you can DCA. If you're living 100% off your crypto, and you're on Twitter, complaining and griping, and you're just all toxic, well, then you're probably overexposed in crypto. You're not making money from crypto. You probably should go out and start creating value in the real world again. Like, go out and, become an entrepreneur, create a business, drive that money into crypto. You still have time. That's the greatest part. We still have time. We still got time. So if I was our age, even knowing these things, knowing that these cycles are inevitable, knowing that you have anywhere from 40 to 80% drawbacks, you saw 40, I don't know, Briz, what was it, 11, 40 to 85% drawbacks on Hex on its way to a 10,000x run. I'm sure the FUD was unbelievable during those drawbacks. So you got to understand what these guys have seen and gone through. And that's why Brizology is so calm in this. Not all OGs are like this. Some OGs are toxic on Twitter. I can't believe it, to be honest with you. But Briz is pretty calm dude. And that's why I give him a shout out. And if I was our age, I'd be like, you know what? Let's continue washing these MFers out. I would buy, I wish you had waited a little bit longer because we got this pullback now. But obviously going into ETH is a great strategy, because then now he can anticipate or ride that pump up from the Ethereum ETF. I myself would not show. So initially he showed that he's showing strength by putting money into the using the SAC funds to buy into the RH assets, showing confidence for his believers that want to stick around. And so now we have confirmation that that's what's going to happen. But now it's still going to take a little bit of faith. If I were me, I'd want to have those people have faith. I would obfuscate, or I would, use some anonymity tools to offset a lot of those Ethereum buys. I wouldn't want to show that I was buying anything ever again. I would want it to look like it's coming from new money. I would want to still allow the pullbacks to happen, maybe, and then show it's coming from new money again. There's ways to get around for what he's doing right now. What he's doing, like with the SAC funds, is just like, hey, it's almost kind of like lazy. It's like, I'm just going to do it from here, and I'm going to show everybody that there's confidence here. And then for me, round two, man, I would not want to show that confidence anymore. I'd want to let the non-believers get flushed out, and I would let it sit, man. I wouldn't even pump any new money in for months. I'd wait until there was some very good positive price action, maybe over on Ethereum or just in crypto as a whole. And I would not be just doing it from the Greg the Duck address. I would be more strategic about how I inject that capital into the ecosystem. And so that's me and my thoughts. And I know he knows how to do that. The guy's no dummy when it's come into how to use the blockchain and how to use crypto the way it was intended to be used. So I can see that happening. And I'm sure he wants to make some gains on his Ethereum too. But here's the cool part, Dane, and I'll kind of wrap it up with this. What I really like about him buying that Ethereum is now we're a massive leverage play on ETH. So if ETH does a 5x, maybe we get a 20x. And that's probably pretty aggressive for ETH, unless this ETH ETF really blows out of the water, kind of how the Bitcoin ETF is blowing out of the water. But we're going to be a massive play on Ethereum now. And so what if Ethereum does go to $20,000 per coin? Well, holy crap. That would be absolutely insane for our ecosystem, and why couldn't it? There really is no reason why it couldn't. If there's enough buy pressure from TradFi Like TradFi literally, it was like we tapped into this infinite liquidity pool that is coming in now. We tapped into that. We don't know how deep that pool really is going to, how deep it's really going to get in the next year, right? And so like, we don't know. And so like, we're just a massive leverage play now on ETH. So those are my thoughts. It was a little bit long-winded, but yeah.
No, I like it. I thought that was really good. This is a great comment. This was what I was going to mention. If it were me, in addition, what I would add to that plan is I would obfuscate the funds.
Yep.
And
There's the word. Thank you.
I would let it lag. Yeah, so I wouldn't do anything. Maybe you could, like, for instance, let me share this really quick. So if you look at for instance, if we look at the Pulse price chart right now, I mean, you could see this trend line. This is on the let's go to this is the 3-day. It's good enough for these purposes.
It is good.
But you can see, like, we're supporting this trend line pretty nicely here. Maybe you continue to, I mean, you could continue to support this to keep this trend line intact if you wanted to for the TA guys. Maybe you go ahead and do a little bit there. But man, yeah, can you imagine if nothing real interesting happened, we just grinded along this trend line for the next couple of months, and then you obfuscate the funds. You could even take maybe it's not all of it. Maybe it's like half of it, the SAC wallet. Maybe you do a partial, maybe it's a quarter, maybe it's 3/4. But I would go ahead and do that. The FUD would get insane. That would be a really nice, like, final washing. And then people wouldn't know. It's kind of funny when you create a more sophisticated, I would argue Hexicans are the most sophisticated DeFi users that there are in crypto.
I agree.
That comes with some of the negativity where people are tracking Richard's wallets and they're selling into his pumping, which, like, people are going to use advantages. I think it's a good thing to get more sophisticated. In fact, when I was in real estate, when I started, I hired this real estate coach, and he taught us how to find properties in the online in our counties so we could go and market to those properties. And then he didn't deliver on some of his coaching, so I went and found where he lived, and I knocked on his door, and I got his help in person, which was great. He was really surprised by that. I was probably the first person to do that.
You were the stalker. Like, hey.
But hey, like, I paid for your help. I want the help, and I'm cool. I was cordial about it. Everything was fine. But his eyes were this big when I knocked on the door, and he saw it was me. It's the same thing happening with Richard right now, where people are tracking his wallets, the sacrifice wallets, and they're trading based on that, which is once again, everybody's going to take advantage of opportunities that are present. I would want to stop that, though. I would have one last big rinsing. And man, if you could time that before the Bitcoin halving, if you could get a double, a triple, maybe even a 4x on your ETH before you started pulling funds out of there, like, that would be nice. That would be really nice. So I'd be real patient about it, which would be slick. Now, I'd prefer we go to the heavens tomorrow. That'd be great. But frankly, I think one of the things that a lot of people aren't mentioning is I think that it'd be really beneficial for the SAC funds to grow a lot in value before you started putting a lot more of that in, just so you had more ammo. You're just trying to have more ammo.
100%, man. And I would like to see that trend line break, because if you want to, like, shake confidence in our ecosystem and really get people hating each other and and calling each other's name, let that trend line break, and that would really people be like, oh, we're going to zero. That's it. It's all over. Pack it up, everybody. I mean, we're already seeing a little bit of that right now. We're seeing a lot of people saying that, and because they're irritated with the whole EHEX debacle and all that. And yeah, so I mean, that's me. And if I see that trend line break, well, then I mean, I'm DCAing. I'll tell you right now, I'm DCAing. So
I like it. I think that's a good take. Yeah, I'm with you. Some good questions here. Yeah, I like this. This would be interesting. Yeah, I think the Pulse Chain birthday, we're going to see some upgrades. I wonder, but I don't know. You see a lot of people. In fact, you guys in the comments, Corey, you and I will talk about this. You guys in the comments, post your thoughts on this. I still see a lot of people that are touting the 50 weeks to wash out the weak hands. I don't know if you need to be that specific about a time frame. I want I want to use the ammo when it's the right time to use the ammo. And I don't know if it's the right time still for all the upgrades and things with Pulse-X and whatnot. What are your thoughts, Corey?
Depending all based, once again, I feel like we are a leverage play on Ethereum. It'd be based on what's going on with Ethereum at the time. And even still, like he could I guess he could take profits in Ethereum if he got a nice little run up and still hold those funds for when he felt the time was right in our ecosystem. He doesn't have to it doesn't have to be a direct one-to-one correlation of ETH does a 5x, we do a 20x. It could be, ETH does a 5x, and then, 2 months later, we do the 20x. Like you said, where he's more strategic with the timing. So yeah, there's that stuff there, man. The game theory behind that goes deep. It's really hard to try to predict when is the right time for us. Obviously, he would probably want to see some of the. I think he does want to see some more rinsing though, because this
I
year
think you have to. You see a lot of these wallets selling into his pumps. So you need to get the community to a place where people felt like they were stupid to sell any of the Pulse chain assets. I don't think we're quite there. And you see it on Twitter where people are capitulating. I don't think we're quite there for a really nice push up and have some more euphoria.
I agree. And frankly, man, this is not, and historically, this is not the time in the market where we do that. Like
right.
You have a mini alt season, usually after the Bitcoin halving. That's when it usually happens historically. And then you usually have one year. This is the big one. And 1 year from the Bitcoin halvings when you have the big alt season. So we're not even in the timeline where it should be happening. And in my opinion, we're doing great. We are doing amazing if you compare us to other blockchains. Phantoms on average, maybe not directly from the bottom, on average, is about a 2 or 3x, or maybe a 3 or 4x. AVAX is up a 6x. Solana is a real winner in the movie right now, in the storyline, because it has all the VCs and the influencers backing it. They got, a lot of them got free allocations, and they're paid basically to promote it. You got still Sam Bankman-Fried probably pulling streams from prison. I mean, who knows? But Solana is the kind of the outlier right now in the DeFi space. And so, if you look at that, I feel like Pulse Chain has still done amazing, even with the SEC stuff hovering over it, even with all the FUD around Richard and his outrage marketing and everything else. We're in a good place, in my opinion, a really good place for the next massive leg up, but let some rinsing happen. And then we have a long time in this cycle, which is great, assuming we don't have a left translated cycle. I know we've talked about that a lot on the show, guys. That's still on the table. It can absolutely happen. We want to make sure we're not blindsided, but outside of the left translated cycle, then we have a long ways to go.
Yep, I like it. Yeah, to your point, if you measure from the bottom to the top, or the more recent top, that's a 5x. And measuring to where we're at right now, it's a 3x from the bottom.
We're on par with everybody else except for Solana. That's it. Everybody, in fact, we're beating a lot of other blockchains in the DeFi sector. It's crazy, but then people on Twitter don't look at it that way. All they see is RH killed eHex, so everyone sell. Oh, Sami's flooding our bags. Go ahead and sell. Last time I checked, Sami was not the market maker of our ecosystem. What the hell are you guys even thinking? I love Sami, but he's not the market maker of our ecosystem. And if you're selling because of him, you're just retarded.
Yeah, I think Sami's done more onboarding in the last couple of years than just about everybody
Sami's the only reason why. One of the only reasons why I didn't capitulate during the SEC news. He kept my faith, kept my resolve in the RH ecosystem when everyone else had their mouth shut. A lot of those OGs had their mouth shut. They weren't doing anything for onboarding. In fact, they were capitulating people to other ecosystems. I witnessed it. And Sami was the one beating the drum. He kept me. I was putting massive clips in there in the bottom, and that's because of Sami. There's no other question, and including a lot of our members in our community, Dane. We have about 160 members in there. A lot of them are putting big clips in because of Sami. So you guys out there bashing him, it's BS. It's complete BS. And if you're selling because of him, then that's on you. You're retarded. whatever. Like, it's just stop pointing the finger at somebody else and go look yourself in the mirror. It's you.
Yep. And I think it's a good opportunity to reevaluate how you're positioned, where your bags are at. If you're feeling super emotional, I think you're either paying too much attention to Twitter, you're looking at the
Twitter's
price
horrible.
charts way too frequently, and you're not being patient enough. And
Yeah.
I think it's, or you're overexposed. And I think it's fine to evaluate all four of those things and see if you want to change any of that in your behavior.
That's a great advice right there.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
it's
you
not
can do
advice.
this without feeling like
This
you're
is,
getting kicked in the nuts every day when things are going down. You know
this is
what
a
I
great
mean?
analysis for us. You guys do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah, you guys do whatever you want. Yeah. I think this is a great question by Tom. Thinking of putting more sensitive personal savings in a liquid loan stable pool. If I do that, need the funds, how do I offload, get my money back into fiat? Is this the same if I do
Great
that?
question.
Yeah, let's look at that. So one of the things that's been tricky with using liquid loan, well, there's a number of things that have been tricky about it, but we're not going to say taking leverage against your Pults and doing any of that. We're just going to keep it really simple for this part.
Yeah.
Because I know Tom and we've talked about this. So to keep it super simple, the first thing is how much liquidity is there in USDL? Can you buy decent clips without experiencing reasonably high slippage? And you can do it. Like, you can do it pretty reasonably. So what is this? Is this a billion Pults? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
A lot of zeros.
Here's a billion Pults. You can see it's worth, about 128K. You're going to get, you're going to lose less than $1,000 in slippage here if you make this pivot to USDL, which is pretty good, pretty nice in my opinion for Tom's question here. And then you could go ahead and stake this. Now the key is, and the tricky thing is, you've got to do the math. In fact, we could do it. I'll do the math right here on stream. So let's say
you're going to do the math based off LL's numbers. You might want to be on the.
Well, we're not going to use those numbers, but we're gonna add up. So let's just say
I don't agree with their numbers is all.
No, we're gonna adjust those.
But, I do agree with the Earn protocol's numbers. Earn it seems to be pretty spot on with its APYs. It's saying 70% right now. That's I think that's about what I'm getting out of it.
Is that about right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with LL over there. And if you guys know a little bit more about how they calculate the APYs over there, I would love a little more insight on that, because I don't know how the protocol figures that out. If it's using an Oracle, and then it's like, I don't know how it's doing it.
So I'm just going to add up. Let's just say I'm going to do 1 billion Pults equals, for this show, is going to be what? 128K, I think is what I said. Yeah, 128,510. We'll get the math nice and tight. So 128. We're going to do this in dollar terms just because it's an easy metric. That's going to give you. Oh, you guys can't see my spreadsheet.
No, we can't. I wasn't sure if you were crunching on a calculator on your phone or.
Let me share this tab instead. Okay, cool.
Go.
So that's going to give us 127, 187. 127, 187. USD, we're going to, so what is that? That's roughly, so let's call it, slippage is going to be what?
It's less than one. Well, it's about 1%. Yeah, probably about 1%. On 100 grand, it'd be grand. So we're at 128. That's like 1.2 or 1.1% if you wanted to divide. You divide them in. I think if you divide them, you might come up with the math.
Somebody is doing this as we speak because
the delta. You divide the delta,
right?
And then that would give you the percentage. So whatever.
Right now, it just updated. So it's saying if we do the swap, it's going to give us 125,910.
Oh, well, somebody just took.
Somebody is doing this trade as we speak. I'm helping somebody live here.
Good out, nice.
All right.
So Tom's like front running it.
Minus 125,910. 910. So that's going to be $2,600 in slippage.
So now we're at like, yeah, almost about 3%.
Let's call it $80 to bridge. Let's say it's another, let's call it 160 because he wanted to get in and then back out. So let's say it's $80 each direction.
Sure.
And then we're going to say there's always going to be fees if you're using, a centralized exchange. So something like Coinbase, you're going to do this. Do you guys know? Post in the comments. What are we going to pay on Coinbase or Kraken or one of those? Do you guys know what that's going to cost us in fees?
I'm fee to come in. And now if you're using USDC on Coinbase, the USDC is a fee less because the partnership with Circle.
Right.
And so there's still other fees. I'm going to guess anywhere from $300 to $600.
Let's just round up. Let's say 600 exchange fees. How about? The fees on Pulse Chain are so minimal, we're not even going to count those. That'll be easy. All right. So essentially, you need to be able to come in here and you need to make, what is that? 26, 32, 33, 60. So we need to make.
Call it like 3,500 if you want to just round it, make easy math. Like if I made 3,500, I'm good. Like I'm good. Yeah.
To break even. Okay. So on 128K, and that's what we need to make. So let's go ahead. Let's move this down here for viewing purposes so we can see all this together. Okay, so we got to make the 3,500. So if we go, let's go to earn then. Let's go to, well, no, we're on liquid loans. We have the slippage and everything for that. So now I'm going to.
That'll be a different number.
Yeah, let me share. All right, so we come in here. The stability pool numbers are incredibly high today. I looked at this morning. The APRs though, they seem to in real time, they seem to be matching earned, don't they? Pretty close. Do you know?
Yeah, I would say that's more realistic. I feel like the APR is about cutting. It's divided by 2.
Okay.
I'm not playing a lot with liquid loans right now, and so you guys, it might have changed. This is back when I was playing with it because I'm playing more with earn over there now. I even have my loan out of liquid loans. Like I took a loan out of liquid loans and I converted that to PXDC and put it in earn. So and my Pulse X liquidations have been beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
So let's say it's half. Let's call it 80%.
Let's do that. I like that. And Briz might know. Briz plays with these things. If you know, man, let us know.
So let's say we've got 125, 910. If we're making 80%, 125, 910 times by 80%. And then let's do that. Let's say that's on a daily. So we divide this by 365. What is that? So you're making $275 a day. So let's see. So it's going to be $275 a day.
We can't see your screen if you're doing.
Oh, sorry. We're going to go back to this. So $275 a day. So is that 3,500 divided by 275? So you're essentially going to need about 13 days to break even and then upside from there. So yeah, 13 days to break even. So that's how the math works out, Tom, on those funds. You need to plan on, this would be money you'd have to leave alone for at least 13 days just to break even if this math it works out. And then another, whatever in order to actually profit. So that's how I would be looking at it, thinking about it, of course, taking into account. You and I have talked about this, but for those of you that are watching, there's always contract risk involved in this. Liquid loans and earn have done audits. So I think the team has done what they could in order to offset risk in that respect. But of course, be wise about how you're using these tools. So that's what you're looking like there in order to be able to go pull that off.
Yeah, you have to weigh in risk versus reward. So it is risk because it's crypto still. Even though this is money that it's not in volatile assets, you're still participating in crypto. You have smart contract risk. Yes, it's a fork of liquidity. Liquidity is a couple years old. It's had pretty much a flawless operation. I think that I know of. I think it's flawless operation. Great protocol. Lasted to the bear market. Got beat on in the bear market, and LUSD held its peg amazingly. Even when all those banks were collapsing and all that FUD around USDC was going on, it was great. It held its own. And we've been holding our own on Pulse Chain too, but you do have the risk. But look at your upside for that risk. You'd be making about $8,000 a month on your money that you could take and then go do whatever you want. You could put that in your bank account. You could pay the loan back. You could actually put it towards paying the loan back. You could buy the volatile assets that you want to buy that you feel like they are going to go up. So you have many options. It's a great way to create passive income off money that you can't spend on volatile assets, but at the same time, that you're not spending in the real world either. Just they need to be parked somewhere, and you're not gonna make money in the bank. That's for sure. The bank sucks, and you have risk there too. Like there's risk of having your money in the bank. I mean, it's not usually you're FDIC insured and you have all this other stuff, but like there's risk with that still. There's risk of having money underneath your mattress, your house. Your house can burn down, and all that cash can burn down. There's risk of all that, and you got to weigh the reward versus the risk. And so, $8,000 a month, is that worth the reward? Versus the risk of smart contract risk, being in crypto. That's what you got to weigh out. So.
Yep, I like it. Lots of good comments here from you guys.
He wants to know how to get back in fiat. Let's just cover that part real quick before we
just going and bridging back out.
You just bridge it out and then go back into Coinbase and do the exact same way you got it in. And or when Coast comes back online, which they're having a lot of updates right now. It looks like we might see them back online in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Fingers crossed. You could also utilize those guys, just making sure the liquidity is deep enough for your swapping back into the CST. But their liquidity has been filling up nicely. So I think you might be okay on a 6-figure order through them. But yeah, you want to still look at it before doing the swap. So Coast, or just going back in through the way you came in, whether it be Coinbase, Kraken, or any of those guys.
Yeah, in fact, that's a good point. Like if you lose another 3 to 4%
going out
through like Coast, then maybe you've got to be in for, maybe you got to be in for a month just to be even, and then it's upside from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of upside though, man. $8,000 a month is not like that, dude. Think about how much real estate you got to buy to net, not like gross, like net $8,000 a month in real estate. A lot of real estate. So like when you compare those, there's nothing that tops it out. It's remarkable.
Agreed. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, this isn't a terrible plan. The problem is like there's not enough rewards there from staking the ETH that it makes a big impact. I mean, a few $100,000 a month in injected capital, like that just doesn't move the needle a lot. No. So I think it's an interesting idea. It just doesn't move the needle a lot.
I would stake the ETH and I would hold on to the rewards for the price appreciation. So now if you're making between 5 and 8% on your node validating, and then you got yourself a 2, 3, 4x on that money, then that's compounded. So like then that makes sense. I would not be spending it. I would not be spending the ETH, injecting it, and it's while we're on the local bottom, while we're running sideways. I would save that money up if it were me.
I like it. Yeah, people need to just chill. Agreed.
We're chilled out here in Puerto Rico. It's great.
This is an interesting one. Who else is buying eHedron, eIcosa dip? People were buying a shit ton of it when Sami started talking about it because of Alex's V2. Now it's 100 buy per billion.
Or I bought 5. Probably. Yeah, it's Hedron.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I scooped up a little. We scooped up a little bit of Icosa. Yeah. offset the cost basis there.
Because as Alex says, he says his plans have not changed. If you're looking to get the new version 2 Icosa or version 2 Adron, your 1-to-1 swap turn-in value, he says there's no plan to change that at this point. Don't mean it can't happen, guys. This is crypto, and you're gambling with this kind of stuff. So, like, make it part of your lottery, buys. So, I actually, when the announcement came out that Richard was when he kind of said, "Oh, I don't want to support EHEX, blah blah blah." Like, I immediately went in there and swapped a big bag of my EHEX for EHEX. So I was like, "Well, this is the perfect trade." Like, I'll just go over here. Like, I know Alex is not flooding his bags yet, so let's just go over here, and like that's what I did. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Once again, it's who knows.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. Fun to see. Lots of cool things going on. I'm telling you, I think it just comes back to taking a breather when price goes down. Like, welcome to the game, ride the roller coaster. We're up a 3x from the bottom on Pulse X and Ink, or more than that. I mean, it's painful that we have to measure from the bottom, which is not equivalent to sacrifice rate. But it is what it is. It is what it is, and we can either put our heads in the sand and complain about things that people hoped happened, or we can be here in reality and make better decisions accordingly. You got to make the decision.
Yeah, sack price doesn't matter anymore because we had plenty of time to buy that bottom. Where before it was like he was measuring from like that wick on the launch, and you're like, dude, you can't measure from there. Come on, who had the opportunity to buy it? But now, like, we had plenty of opportunity. I mean, I've told the story many times. I was buying that bottom and I was throwing up in my mouth. I was literally like puking. Like, I thought I was flushing my money down the toilet. Like, it was the worst feeling I've ever felt when I was buying that bottom. And I kept doing it because I knew, or I felt I knew, like, this is me. I'm not giving you guys any advice, but for me, this is where it is part of my purpose to be here and be part of this community and be on this journey. Like, I was guided by a higher, being. I don't want to get too religious in the show, but like, to be here and to be on this journey, to be on this path with you guys. And so I was committing to what I believed in, even though I hated it. I hated every second of it. It was disgusting. But now I look back, I'm like, well, shit. I love that I did that.
Right. Stroke of genius.
It's like, it's just, we all have recency biases. We all have our own, it's hard, right? We all, when we're in the moment and then in the now, it's like, it's so easy to look at like what's around us and get fudded out so easily. But then, like, when you wait a month or two, you're like, oh crap, that was just opportunity. Whoa. Okay. I understand.
Right.
So it's tough, man.
Agreed.
Cool. We got Pulse. Yeah, I love that comment.
I did too. This is good. Well, we tackled all the questions. That's probably a good place to kind of sound off. Anything else you want to cover today, Corey?
That's it. Guys, a little housekeeping. We won't be here. I believe it's Wednesday for, I think we're missing in action about 7 days or so. So it wouldn't be probably to the following week sometime. I don't even know what day we get back, but we're leaving on Wednesday. We got 3 more events that we are going for onboarding purposes. This is why me and Dane go to these events, is to go and onboard them into our community, and our community obviously onboards into Pulse Chain. So like, we'll be out spreading the good word of Pulse Chain. And so we'll probably stream tomorrow. No guarantees unless we get wrapped up crazy busy, but we're going to try to shoot for tomorrow. And then we'll see you guys on the following week. You guys, get off Twitter. Just get off Twitter. Hold your bags. We've done good. We've got a lot of X's from the bottom. I mean, you look at Ink. Ink did like a 25X from the bottom. I think we're still about a 20X to a, I don't know, 18X. Brizology would know. He's the Ink maxi. I feel like Brizology is like our Ink Godwell. I think that's all he buys anymore. It's just ink. But who knows? I don't know his bags. I'm speculating. Right. But yeah, guys, get off Twitter. We're doing great. We are doing great. And that's all part of the cycle. It's just where we're at. So,
Corey, this is a good last question. Yeah, if you want to speak to this real quick. I mean, we still have an accountant. They do all the tax stuff. You got to file. I would argue that you have extra reporting duties since you're doing the Act 60 stuff in Puerto Rico. So I want an accountant for that.
You just want to make sure you're crossing your T's, dotting your I's on everything. So that way, if you do get audited, you wouldn't. I mean, you're already given the gift of not paying taxes. Why go and hide stuff? Like, you're given this gift. So, like, just, do everything ethically and by the book here if you decide to come here and do this. Otherwise, why do it? I mean, if you want to hide stuff, you can just stay home and hide stuff. I mean,
Right.
that's your plan. You can just do it at home. I mean, you don't got to come here to do it.
Agreed. Cool, guys. Well, have a good one. We will ideally catch you tomorrow.
All right, guys. Peace.